Good evening. This may be my OCD, but where's everybody from?
Oh, no. Here we go. Okay, stuff's falling everywhere.
She's making a mess of my desk.
I can't help it. Normally, I'm packed in here with my ammo, but, you know.
You're not.
Times are, ooh, gosh.
Hey, Brent.
It is bare underneath there.
Alabama. Canada. Beer of the Great White North, eh? Nebraska, Texas.
Joey from Beaumont's in.
Southeast Texas. Governor Abbott's talking about making us a sea of freedom and a sea of communism and socialism. Connecticut.
Well, that wasn't Governor Abbott, though. That was a Texas representative that has come out and presented legislation that would begin the conversation of Texas seceding from the Union and becoming their own.
Thank God.
And allow Texans to vote to start the conversation of it. They're calling Texic.
Yeah. Freedom. Utah.
Yes. So I already pulled the link for the shirt because I knew we were going to get questions about it. I got Chris this from Amazon. It is the Eagle Fang Karate from Cobra Kai. He's a huge fan.
I'm praying he makes it happen. Indiana.
Well, what he's proposing is a proposition to allow Texans to vote on the possibility of it. So. You were supposed to have a new video out tomorrow, except, you know, in the compression of it through Adobe and then YouTube, the beginning of it got a little messed up, the logo and everything. So
she's only going to put out the best quality.
I have to go back and fix that, and I'm going to push it to Friday, or I may push it to just later in the day tomorrow, but I need to fix it first. It was locked and loaded until he did his final viewing of it on YouTube and saw that there was a glitch in the compression of it. But it should be an interesting one. It's on Glock.
We got a lot of cool stuff in this past week. We got a, let me see, we got a Springfield Armory Hellcat. We got a P365 SAS, a Beulah Arms M14.
Yeah, I feel like I can't keep up with all the stuff that's coming in and stay ahead of it.
And I got a standard P365 on the way. And I'm hoping the first part of next month a Zastava ZPAP, providing Biden doesn't do any importation.
And if anybody has received any weird email from me with a link to it saying to check this out, my email got hacked. It's spam. Delete it. Some of you have messaged me about it. I'm aware that it's happened. And yeah. Okay, we're gonna start in. If you guys would like to ask a question during the chat, you can do so in the Say Something line. I do bounce around to different sections and try to go in order as best as possible, go back up to the top. Trust me, if you ask your question 10 times in a row, it's not going to get it answered any quicker. We try to get through as many as possible. A guaranteed response is if you make a donation to the channel, you can do that with the super chat function underneath the Say Something line, or you can go on Donor Box. That link is on smallarmsolutions.com right at the top. You can put your question in the comments section. I'll get an email and it'll be the same thing. You'll get priority over everyone else tonight. And we have a few that were submitted earlier from that. You can also sign up for the newsletter on smallarmsolutions.com and you'll get a little email that tells you when chats are scheduled. But Chris is Die Hard tonight to try to get y'all to donate through Donor Box.
We are doing a sort of a fundraiser today because my wife has not taken her CHL class yet for Texas concealed carry. And she didn't want to take it by herself. She's got a friend now who's hosting it at her ranch. And I'm trying to get Heather to do it. She's saying that we don't have the extra $120 or whatever it is to do it. So I said, I will ask for donations so she can take her CHL class. So anybody out there who'd be interested in assisting me in getting her to finally get her CHL, I would greatly appreciate it.
And this is the one time where I'm like, no, y'all don't need to donate at all tonight. No questions at all. In fact, he brought 3 guns out today, threw them on the kitchen counter, and said, pick one and practice. Yeah. Apparently, he's nervous that I'm going to embarrass him.
A SIG M18, a SAP-365 SAS, and a G42. Well, the G42 is on its way out, but it was still going to be an option for her.
The G42 I've practiced on for the last few years, and I was not a fan of it as far as shooting it, but
she can manipulate it.
I like the...
So she's doing it with the M18.
Yeah, I guess.
And
I don't know, though. I can't really afford it right now. So
and those
we have a child's birthday on Sunday, so it's like,
And those of you who said, yes, I did say M14. There's a story. Those of you who know, I'm very close friends with Mark Westrom. He's the former president and owner of Armalite out of Geneseo, Illinois.
No, Walter, we're not going to sell some of the ammo in the back.
He's a former U.S. Army Ordnance officer.
Rude. And you know that's rude to even say for him to sell ammo for me to take it. So stop.
So he was a big M14 fan, and he currently got hooked up with this company, Beulah, and this company happens to be manufacturing the only spare parts the U.S. government has for these ones they're bringing out because they're in desperate need of 308s, 7.62 rifles. And he said it's the finest one he ever saw, and it's a newer company. They're looking for some people to, for publicity. So I said, well, if you think that it's the nicest thing in the world, I'll take a look. And
we have lots of questions, Chris. You need to.
Okay, and we'll do a review, and we'll try to keep the politics out of it.
So, yes, the best way to donate is DonorBox because they only take 2 to 3%. Google takes 30%. So, the first question up tonight is from Vaughn on DonorBox. Thank you. He said, "Are you familiar with Duramag magazine by C Products?
Oh, yes.
So, what do you think about them, and would you give your opinion on the best steel or aluminum AR-15 magazine out there now?"
The Duramag is manufactured by the former C Products. The gentleman who runs it is Lebanese, and he's a very good friend of mine. I have used those magazines for years. They're probably some of the finest made aluminum and steel magazines. In fact, they probably are the finest made steel magazine out there, next to like H&K, which is overly built. I highly, highly recommend them. And those of you who fire 7.62x39 in the AR platform, they are the best one out there that it works. I certainly would highly, highly recommend those.
Kirk, I read your email or your DonorBox donation to Chris in the kitchen earlier while he was cooking. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll have a new crime series up very soon. Steve, thank you. I'll be looking for your question. Bradley wants to know, are the barrels on the LWRC rifles MP inspected?
I do believe they are. I don't recall. It's been quite some time since I was out there. Those are probably some of the highest quality Colt hammer forged barrels that are out there. I do believe so, but unfortunately, I can't tell you that one for sure. It's been too long.
Can you use an LWRC bolt in BCG and other AR-15 rifles?
Bolt, yes. For as far as the carrier is concerned, their standard carrier for an internal piston can be used in anything. Their external piston, the internal piston is, internal piston for everybody, direct gas, yes. Their piston one is proprietary to them. I do not know of that being used in anything else other than their own guns.
Joseph wants to know what causes the scratches on a live 5.56 round when you inject it. Is it the feed lips, barrel extension, or the extractor scraping while pulling out of the chamber?
Well, you're going to get if you have a steel or aluminum magazine, you will get scratches on there from the feed lips. You will get that. The extractor will leave a mark on the extractor, and you will get a mark from the ejector. And sometimes, depending on the ammunition, you may get marks on the ammunition from them scraping along the barrel extension.
Greg on DonorBox says blessings. Thank you so much, Greg. How did FN start making M16s and M4s for the U.S.?
Well, back around 1986 or so, there's they were in the U.S. They were capable of manufacturing in this country. They're a military grade manufacturer. When the bidding came up for the M16A2, they bid. And they won it due to Colt's issues, not only with higher costs, but also their ability to deliver due to their unions and the strikes. Once they got on with the M16A2, they were able to get on with the M240, M249, eventually the M2. And to this day, now they're the sole source for the U.S. government for everything, every small arm we have, with the exception of the M17 pistol, M18 pistol, which is SIG.
I own an Armalite AR-10B built 11 years ago. It's hard to find parts. Can I use DPMS barrels with a DPMS BCG? I've heard some people doing it on forums.
Now, you can use the bolt carrier, yes. The firing pin utilizes a firing pin spring, so no. They will take the industry standard bolts, but the barrels, barrel extensions, no. Those are different, and the upper receivers are obviously different.
I love this. It's fun to think about, but be real. Texas couldn't survive on its own.
You want to bet we couldn't?
It's like the third largest, like its own economy in the
This
world.
state has its own fuel, its own beef, its own electrical grid system. This state has everything necessary to be on its own. Everything.
Not to mention, we all have large egos about our state.
Yeah.
Which has a longer service life, modern AR or AK? I would love to get a firearm in case parts become scarce.
Well, I guess you have to defend service life. Do you mean longest time to affect accuracy or longest time to actually function? Probably the AK would probably give you a longer service life for as far as just spitting rounds out. It does not mean that it's going to be accurate or you're going to hit anything with it. But those parts are under less stress, they're less precision. They're overgassed. The way the timing is, everything on them. Probably the AK will give you a longer service life for just going bang. Accuracy, no.
Sorry, Carrie. I have a wicked migraine tonight, so I'm trying not to stay too close to the monitor or the light that's over here next to Chris. I'm kind of over here in a dark corner. Dan on Donor Box, thank you so much, Danny. He said, most underrated YouTube channel. Good luck, Heather, with your class.
Thank you.
I've told him I told him he has to go with me. He was like, why you're gonna make me sit there for the whole time? I was like, yes.
I've had my CHL since I moved to this great state 5 years ago.
Well, obviously.
But I told her I will go with her.
I think he's worried I'm going to embarrass him. He already told me that he's taking me to the range on Friday. So
well, it's been 3 years since I got her to the range.
Stop telling people that. It's been 2.
3.
It's been 2. I'm looking for a good starter 308 rifle. Would you mind suggesting a rifle? Right now, my budget is around $2,000, give or take. And thank you for your donation.
There's a wide variety you could go to for that. Lower end, around 1,000. Diamondback is a really nice one. Obviously, Aero Precision is certainly a good way to go. The SIG Tread is an awesome way to grow. The SIG 716i would be a really good one. Those would probably be the ones I would definitely say to start with.
See, this is why you shouldn't tell. She hasn't been to the shooting range in 2 years. Are you sure she's really a Texan?
I know. I told her the same thing. She gives me shit about saying that I'm an implant and everything. I'm more Texan than she is.
Here's the thing, guys.
Okay, here we go.
And you even admit to this. Sometimes it's hard when your hobby and your love overlaps with your profession and what you do. And you don't get to go to the range very often and shoot for fun. You're there to test fire and film and do stuff that you don't really get to do that you want to do. And so I would go to the range with you and enjoy that time. But when you have to go for work and it just becomes filming and like
if
all of that.
If she ever said, I want to go to the range, you wouldn't have time to even see me get ready and jump in that car, even with my bad legs.
No, it's been 2 years. It hasn't been 3 because we went with friends 2 years ago. That was the last time.
That makes you feel better about it.
And we went for fun. So, it's different if you go for fun. But I work a lot. I work all weekend a lot of times. And it's just like, it's hard for me to even get a full day off. And okay, I'll stop. Bill on Donor Box said he donated for Heather's continuing education.
Thank you. You are going.
I was like, it's our daughter's birthday on Sunday. We really don't have the money for that.
Nope.
Ammo's short. You don't want to waste your ammo on me,
no.
do you?
I will find if I have to go rob a gun shop, I will get her. Make sure she goes.
Well, our range is like almost an hour away, so that's 2 hours in the car plus being there, and it's.
Yeah, I have a couple other guns I can shoot with for some fun too.
I work all day. I mean, I work into sometimes 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean,
Well, they're donating, so you're going. So
okay. Brandon on Donor Box wants to know, I'm currently looking at getting a new rifle, and I've settled between 3: Robinson XCR, CZ Brand 2, or a SIG MCX. I've got a SCAR 16 and had an ACR. I'm just looking for something different than an AR-15, and was hoping you could make that a little easier with a personal recommendation.
well, I own all those, and I like all of them for very, very different reasons. The CZ and the SCAR are very similar. Well, I tell you the truth, I might even be looking at. I go XCR if I was you. XCR is very unique compared to all of them. You have the ability to interchange the barrels with probably 6 or 8 different calibers by now. No, I think I would recommend you go with the XCR. We will be having some videos coming up in the XCR in the not too distant future as well, an update on them. In fact, the XCR will be with, you see, the 5.56, 300 blackout, 7.62 by 39, 6.5 Grendel, 6.8 SBC barrels. It will have all of those barrels on it.
Mike, she has time for nails and hair, but not for guns. Actually, Mike, I haven't been to the salon since October, so thank you for that. Jay on Donor Box says, get your license, Heather.
Yep.
Nick on Donor Box says, enjoy the class. I'm sure Chris will be taking photos, and we'll put them up on Facebook and Patreon and all
a picture
that.
of her, with her license when she gets it, with her smiling.
Oh my God, that's if I get it, because I think tonight when I couldn't rack back the slide, I think he was a little bit like, he was gonna be like, "What?"
If I gotta have your ass sitting on the couch just pulling slides back, and
he was yelling at me, going, "What? I have these guns out. Why aren't you practicing?" I was like, "I tried." No, he's going to be on me for sure. Joseph says, back to the live round being ejected. Do the scratches on the bullet itself cause any issues to reload in the magazine, or could it affect accuracy in any way? Is it anything to worry about?
Scratches are not. The only thing you want to watch out for, and not so much with the rifles, but with the pistols, is the rounds getting pushed back into the cartridge case. With pistols, if the bullets get pushed in, it can cause an overpressure situation. That's not the case with like a 5.56 or a 7.62. But with a pistol, it can cause more than that. The scratches, no. The only scratches you have to watch for are a radial scratch that goes on from the rounds that are as the rounds are spinning in the magazine, and it'll cut a ring you'll see towards the back, towards where the rim is. If that gets to the point where you can run your fingernail over it, you want to at that time swap that out, because that's weakening it, and it could sever. So you could have a stuck cartridge case separation. That's what you really have to worry about it.
Thank you, David. He said, sorry to hear you suffer from migraines. He does too. It's rough. I'm like 3 days in now too. I've had like 3 pills already. She's
had those since we've been together 22 years.
I've had 2 Tylenol and Motrin, and then I also have ulcers, so I'm not supposed to take Motrin. I'm kind of a mess. It's like the guy's like, you have time for hair and nails. Dude, I work like 7 days a week. I don't have time for anything. Non-question, gas tube length for a 14.5 Colt SOCOM barrel and a Colt upper. I was sent the wrong tube apparently.
You have regular carbine length gas tube. You have carbine, you have mid length, and you have rifle length, and you have pistol length. You need what's called the carbine length.
What's your thoughts on, is it Chiappa? CBR9.
Chiappa is crap. They are garbage. They are probably one of the worst companies I've used in the past. American Tactical had a big contract with them for a while. I probably had 3 or 4 of their 5.5 or their 22 long rifle upper receivers, and I never really got them to work properly. The stuff was made out of pot metal, very, very low quality. Not a fan at all.
This guy says, I get Botox shots that takes them away for 3 months. That's actually what I was just telling Chris. I get Botox too, and it helps a lot with headaches. And it's been like 4.5 months. So I think that's why it's getting really bad again.
Hopefully we'll recover from Christmas pretty soon and we can get you back in.
Well, yeah, we have 4 kids. We had Christmas in December, and then we had 2 kids' birthdays in January. Our son was on the 6th, and now our daughter's the 31st. So it's just like, one hit after the other. I know you don't get products from LaRue. However, have you had any experience with their MBT2S triggers? Seems well machined and crisp for an $80 trigger.
No, I have never gotten access to any of their gear, so unfortunately, I have no personal experience whatsoever with it.
If sent to the moon, would you bring an M4 variant or an AK variant rifle with you?
M4. I'm not an AK. I'm not an AK. You know, it's not my favorite system. Actually, you wonder how that would work with no oxygen with the powder burning up there.
Carrie says after the range, you can go to Whataburger. Carrie, I'm also trying to lose weight, so Whataburger isn't exactly on the diet plan.
It is for me.
And it's for him. They do have a salad, though. What are good polymer mags that aren't Magpul mags?
Well, my number 2 choice would always be Lancer, the AWMs. Go ahead and you probably should go ahead and watch my Feeding the Black Rifle Part 1 and 2. You'll basically hear about every single one and my thoughts about them. We will be starting to I'll be starting to work on Part 3. I received all the magazines from y'all I've asked for.
We're officially done with that. We just picked up the Cooper yesterday, actually, at the post office box.
So now I got to start doing my research. The one problem I have is I have some that you're not going to be seeing much range footage because of the shortage of ammunition right now. I'm running extremely low on 5.56, so the ability to do a lot of the testing just to burn rounds through magazines for testing is going to be seriously compromised right now. But there will be some good historical stuff on the history of the 30 round magazines and the different manufacturers, cage codes, and so forth.
Am I good running an H buffer in my LMT MRP DI 10.5, 5.56, or should I be using an H2 buffer?
It's going to depend. If you are seeing a lot of forward ejection with 5.56 ammunition, you could probably go to an H. And if you're still getting a really heavy 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you could go to an H2. Their shorter barrels tend to be geared for 5.56 ammo, not the commercial ammunition. So, quite frankly, I'd probably be happy with an H in it. But if they've opened those ports up so you can use the crap ammo, you could probably need an H2.
Trent, I do have your email about the part that you want to buy from the site. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you. I needed Chris to come up and check before I got back to you if we still had that or not, because I was not sure. But I do still have your email, and as soon as I get Chris up into my office, probably tomorrow, I'll have him check on that and get back to you. And yeah, I'm sorry you got the sketchy email too. It's been a rough few days. Adam says, don't like AKs, but do you like PWS rifles? Also, with the Army's new adoption of 6.8, is 5.56 going to go extinct?
The 5.56 has a long time before it's going to be extinct. A long time. The PWS rifle, I am extremely fond of. It's not an AK. It is a long stroke version of the AR. With all the features of the AR, it just has that piston system in it. I do have one right behind me. You're going to be seeing a video in the not distant future of that with both the 5.56 and the 7.62x39 uppers. So you'll be having a video coming up on that. I'm extremely fond of the system. It's one of the nicest external pistons that they make in the AR variant.
And about primary arms, we don't have any products for that yet, but we do have a scope coming in pretty soon that he's going to be testing out. Even Stingray from Cobra has his carry permit. Jesus. I knew this was going to be a gang up. Yep. How does Heather not have a CHL? Adnan, thank you, Adnan. He says he has one question. Mainly wanted to help out for Heather's upcoming class. Thank you, Adnan. Regarding the 300 Whisper cartridge, can a rifle that's chambered for it also be reverse compatible with the current 300 Blackout cartridge as well?
Here's the way that it works. If you have a 300 Whisper, you have to stay with 300 Whisper ammunition. If you have a 300 Blackout, you can use both. The 300 Whisper, because it was never SAMI approved, there are multiple versions of it. There's no control over the ammunition or the chamber dimensions. So the 300 Blackout was designed so it would take up all the variations that had been found, and it would take up the higher pressures. So again, if your gun is 300 Blackout, it does both. 300 Whisper, stay with 300 Whisper.
What is your pick between an LMT 12-inch piston versus an 11.5-inch DI? The opinions.
11.5 DI would be my go-to. I have quite a bit of time with the 12-inch external piston. To me, it's not necessary. If you were to start going below 12 inches, the piston probably might be able to give you some benefits, but not really. I would stay with the external piston myself, or internal piston myself, DI.
What is your opinion on the CZ Scorpion Evo 3? Also, do you think the U.S. military should adopt the firearm?
It's a very nice gun. I don't think it should have been replaced. You know, the U.S. military should have. I would rather see the U.S. military go with an MPX myself. But you know, the CZ it's a good gun. It's used by the Czech Special Forces. It's inexpensive. It is robust. I'm trying to get my hands on one right now to do another video on it. Unfortunately, CZ's telling me that it could be quite some time. And of course, that's depending on if Biden does the importation ban. But you would see, if I can get my hands on one, you'll see another video coming up. But no, I don't think it should have been adopted by the U.S.
I'm looking to buy a torque wrench for my gun build kit. Is it brake or digital style better?
Brake. The digital, I've never seen one myself, but if you go into Brownells and look at their torque wrenches, they have one. They have for the M16 system, the AR-15 system. Of course, you have two torque wrenches. You have the inch pounds for the carrier key and such. Then you have the foot pounds for the barrel nut. But the one that they have is a standard mil spec one. I've been quite happy with them. Been using them for years.
Yeah, and I know on Amazon, on our Amazon store, and that link is in the description box, we have some Armor's tools in there that he likes. But I think that on Small Arm Solutions too, that we also have I feel like we have a post that goes over parts for Armor's tools. So if you go on smallarmsolutions.com and look for that, it goes through like all of his like favorite Armor's tools for specifically for what you're looking for gun build kits. Best optic under $500.
You know, SIG has quite a few. You will see some from Primary Arms that are quite nice. It depends also what you're looking for, magnified optic versus red dot. I do quite a bit with SIG. You know, you have other ones that are nice, like Leopold. Another really Vortex is also a really good one. It just depends on what particular kind of optic you're looking for, but they all have excellent ones that are under $500.
And Jake wants to know if I have a sister as beautiful and wonderful as me. No sisters. I have a brother. He lives in Beaumont with Joey. What's the best way to line up a gas port with JP clamping gas block on a 7.62 by 39 AR? And should I use a feeler gauge?
Feeler gauge, if you don't have a handguard cap on there, you would want to use a feeler gauge. Best way to do it is to take a straight edge, like a thin metal ruler, bisect the gas port, stick a silver marker, and go on the way across. Do the same thing. Flip the gas block upside down, bisect it, and do the same thing on the front. So you can just line the two lines up. That's probably the best way to go about doing it. Another thing is Brownells has these little orange tabs. Basically, what they do is you drop them in the gas port. You flip you put the sight on, you flip it over, and you wiggle it until it locks it in place. It stops the movement. You torque it down upside down, flip it over. Then you take a cleaning rod, push it down through, and it splits the alignment tool, plastic tool in two. So the two parts will come out. That's another way to align it as well. But that's Brownells. They're little plastic orange. And they come in different sizes for different gas ports. You want one that just fits properly.
Any thoughts on the Beretta ARX?
Yes, I have one, and we do have a video on one as well. Excellent rifle. Biggest problem I had with it was the trigger. The trigger is extremely heavy to the point where it will actually fatigue your finger. It's a polymer trigger assembly. It is heavy. Reliability, excellent. If you're ambidextrous, you will absolutely love it. It's probably the most ambidextrous rifle I've ever seen, with your ability to, just by popping a pin with a bullet tip, you can shift your ejection from left to right because you have an open ejection port on both sides. You can move your charging handle either way as well. You have a fully ambidextrous bolt release and magazine release. It's a good Colt hammer forged chrome line barrel. Barrel actually pulls out like a Glock, so it has a lock like a Glock pistol does. It's an excellent rifle. The prices have really come down. I don't believe they're anymore importing them into the U.S., but I know they're still available.
No, we can't handle any firearms during the Q&A. It's not allowed. No guns are allowed to be picked up and handled at all during
Yes, they will
Q&As.
totally demonetize us if we do that.
Douglas on Donor Box, you might need to email him, but I'm going to read it and you can tell me how you want to handle it, Chris. I have just received a Centurion Arms 7.62 receiver set. I'm wanting to use this with a 6 times power ACOG. I want to be able to run any ammo with maximum accuracy. I would like a detailed list, only the best of the best parts to build this. Money is no issue.
No, he's definitely going to have to have you. We'll just do that over email.
So Douglas, we will send you an email either tonight or tomorrow and send you a full list of parts that he recommends.
Unfortunately, those parts I can recommend them, but where they're going to be available or not, it's a different question.
That'll give him some more time to make sure he has everything for you. And Adam wanted to know, wanted you to explain your stance on the most reliable fighting rifle system ever.
Obviously, as you guys know, I'm an internal piston fan. The 5.56. 5.56 is an ideal combat rifle for today. Our days of doing the mile-long shots or the 1,000-yard shots are gone. I don't feel that the 7.62 is necessary for most kinds of urban combat that you're going to come across. As you know, there's plethora of options for that rifle. You've seen what my choices are for as far as combat rifles with the LMT, and you've seen what my build, which you'll see are not rifles that are designed to be the lightest they are. They're designed to be combat durable. So there's going through those videos, you'll probably be able to get a much better idea than me trying to give them to you right now. But I believe the 5.56 with a good 77 grain no TM type cartridge is an ideal combat rifle against soft targets.
Is there a proprietary 6.5 Creedmoor magazine other than steel for the AR platform?
Oh, you can use the Magpul P mag. Any SR25 type magazine or 308 magazine will take a 6.5 Creedmoor. There's no proprietary magazines at all. It uses a standard 7.62 or 308 magazine.
Everybody wants to know this. When do you see the ammunition shortage panic subsiding?
Again, it's not a shortage. It's a hoarding issue. People are buying ammunition and they're hoarding it. So again, I hate it when people say there's a shortage because there's not. Manufacturers are putting out more now than they ever have. So it's not a shortage until there's no more threats of Biden banning guns or making ammunition more difficult and all these until that stuff's all done. I don't see this list letting up. I see this going through, well through this year. I don't see it anytime in the near future.
Romania adopted the Beretta ARX to replace the AKM.
Really? I didn't know that. See, guys, I definitely don't know everything. And Romania was using AK-74s for quite some time.
Yeah, even for this CHL class this weekend, the woman who's hosting, it's a lot of people that are going to be coming, and she was saying, oh, you can buy your ammo at the range for that portion, and I was like, you might want to call and make sure they have it first, because
speaking of that, I hear you guys talk about what it's like. I don't go to gun shops. I deal directly with manufacturers, so I don't actually go into gun shops and see what's going on in there. I order my guns from the manufacturers direct. I have ammunition sent to me directly, so I don't go. For the first time yesterday, I was out with my daughter. She's getting her driver's license, and we stopped off at a gun shop out here called Spring Guns and Ammo. That's one of the biggest ones in the Houston area. Is this? So I said, stop, go in there, you see, what's going on. I was shocked. It looked like a toilet paper, as my wife said, a toilet paper roll during the pandemic. There's only a few boxes of ammos, and it was to obscure cartridges that don't fit any kind of modern service rifles. There wasn't a single box of 9mm or 45. There was nothing. It looked at rifles that were on the wall. There was a couple of the newer Colt, the CR 6920s. There was a couple of these scars, the $5,000 scars, some really cheap garbage that you never even heard of. When I came to looking at handguns, there wasn't one Beretta Sig, not one Glock, not one H&K. There's a couple of the really high-end Berettas. So I actually got to hold for the first time one of the newer Colt Pythons, but I didn't realize because I hadn't been in the gun shops how bad that it was. There was literally nothing. They shut down their rental where they used to rent guns out people so they could go shoot, and everything was all shut down. The guns weren't even there because there was no ammunition. Nobody in the range, nobody shooting because there was because of the ammunition. This is the first time I actually got a chance to go see it.
Why haven't ARs been marketed with a habit-forming warning?
Grown man's director set.
What is the best AK made? I've heard the AK-12 was great. And on that note, which high-quality AK can you actually get in the U.S.?
Well, here in the U.S., the top ones have always been Krebs Custom and Rifle Dynamics. I just put out a review on the Rifle Dynamics. Now, when you look at those are AKs that make it more modern. These are AKs that give you provisions to be able to mount modern optics. They have different types of stocks. They're not your traditional AKs. They're more modernized, which is like the AK-12. You're looking at something that's more modernized with rails on the top and whatnot. Your standard AKs are more what you would consider obsolete. They're iron sight only. A lot of the newer ones they're giving you more of those options. But the real question is what you can buy. I know the AK-10, the RD-107, which is the one that I just did the review on. Those aren't available for time in the near future. So I don't know. Krebs used to build out a lot off of the Russian Sega guns, which are no longer available to build off of. So the real question is what you can buy. Your importations have been restricted. So, again, your better ones are going to be Rifle Dynamics, Krebs. One of my favorites is Vince Buckles, former Sons of Guns guy. He's built a couple for me. He does a beautiful job. But last I knew, you had to try to find kits for him to build off of those kits. The companies that are making them right now, like PSA, you're going to see a video coming up on their AK-74. It's a standard AK-74 M type where you have to use a clamp-on type mount. But if you want an AK that's specifically an AK, you have some options. But your more specialized ones are more modernized. Those are the ones that are going to be harder to get.
Jason on Donor Box says for the CHL fund. Thanks, Jason.
You are going.
Raymond on Donor Box says just donating to the Buy Chris a Longhorn Bull and make the JFK video fund. Raymond, I actually was just thinking about that video today. I'm definitely going to be pushing him to do that. Because, it just needs to be done. Can you talk about something positive or fun coming up for you for a bit? This social chaos is a bit draining.
Well, I'm sure you guys...
You don't think that me getting a CHL is fun?
Well, I have to say this thing with the M14 is going to be interesting because I'm trying to look at it differently because from a concept in its history was a complete shit show. The way I'm trying to look at this rifle is from a design standpoint. The way that it's manufactured is performance. Not saying of not looking at the fact of what it was designed for to do back in the 50s, which it didn't do. I'm trying to look at it from a mechanical standpoint, how well it's made, how well it shoots. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be a departure for me because normally I wouldn't even bother with the M14. But since Mark Westrom, somebody I respect, is telling me this is something that's really well made, that's why I'm taking a look at it. There's going to be some videos coming up on the comparing the P365 to the Glock 43, and also the SIG P365 compared to the Hellcat, which people have done in the past. I'm going to do my own personal take on it. I'm looking forward to doing that, and also with the P365. Going back a couple of years talking about the drag marks. Some people were saying drag marks show bad design and whatnot. We're going to talk about what that really is because people have that completely wrong about drag marks. Bringing some of my forensic experience to that one to talk about. So those are some of the things to look forward to.
Yeah, everybody's kind of freaking out about this M14. Yeah, let me just tell you, it definitely rattled everyone in the house because he got it, like Chris always has a different gun in the living room every night, the wipe down and all of that. So,
Very
and
close inspection.
especially when a new gun comes in too, he kind of sits with it for a while. And he had it on the
Look for details.
ottoman, and our 16-year-old son came downstairs, and he literally like stopped in his tracks, and he goes, "Wait, that that's a M14, Dad, why do you have an M14 on the ottoman?" He was like, "What is going on here?" So, yeah, he hasn't shot it yet. He hasn't done anything with it yet. So, Mark Westrom is, a friend of Chris's and wants him to give it a chance. So,
Out of respect, absolutely, I will do
so
it.
that should be a good video. It will be. It will be a video. Looking forward to that too. I didn't do anything to him. He did this on his own. Are AKs as inaccurate as they say, or are expectations for accuracy set really high? The M4, M16 AR are exceptionally accurate for a service rifle.
That's exactly the way it is. The accuracy generally is poor. You have people like Henry Chan and 9-Hole Review say practical accuracy. What he shows you is not practical accuracy for an AK. You don't have a spotter. You don't have a skilled marksman who's being able to spot shots for you and who's going to be able to understand, okay, I got to hold it up this high to this, to this high, and have this much of a thing to the left. That's not how a soldier works. That's not practical accuracy. That's a sniper or somebody who has extreme experience. When you take an average soldier, he's going to want to put that rifle on the middle of the target and expect it to hit. And that's not what AKs do. AK-74s are much better than AK-47s, yes, but we have a much higher standard with our M16, M4 carbines, and that was always a benefit with any kind of engagement where your enemy is armed with AK-47s, is you can engage them from farther distances than they can you. So yes, practical accuracy with those things is relatively poor. I've had AKs where they've come with canted front sights and whatnot, where you can't even hit targets at 100 yards, and trying to hit a human silhouette target with a normal hold, even at 200 yards, can be very, very difficult. You do have other rifles that may be made much better, where it is better. AK-74s are much better, but they're not up to par with what we see with M16, M4 series. No way.
Okay, everybody's still shocked about the M14. Where's the real Chris, and what did you do to him? Some of them think that I'm doing something to you. They said, blink, Chris, if you're in trouble.
You have to understand my relationship with Mark Westrom. There's a very good chance that this year you're going to be seeing him come here and us do some videos with this guy on his history. There's a lot of really cool things about him. Again, him being a light colonel as a U.S. Army Ordnance. Him buying Eagle Arms, then him buying the name of Armalite, his development of his AR-10 in conjunction with Reed Knight's SR-25, his development of the mid-length gas system, and then of course him talking about M14s as being an aficionado, and talking about some of the programs he was in while he was in the Army. He's a man that I have the utmost respect for, and if he tells me you need to take a look at this, I'm going to listen to him, and I'll take a look at it from a different point of view than I normally would. I'm not going to be comparing it to an an FL, or comparing it to an AR-15, or comparing it to anything else. It'll be a video just basically on this rifle, what it is, and what it can do.
Andrew says that we're sass fakes because I'm not even half in frame. I've been battling a migraine, so I'm trying to stay away from the light. That's why I'm far away tonight. What rifles do you recommend for combat precision?
Though that's where your Mark 12s really come to shine. Your Mark 12 type rifles. There are some of the M16A2 DMR type rifles, the Marine Corps, the rifle that they had was precision. Most decent barreled rifles, you can do that with a match grade barrel. They'll do it. You have the Recce rifle out of Centurion Arms, which I have right behind me, which unfortunately I can't show you. But there is a video that shows it. It's an incredible precision 5.56 rifle. Pretty much anything with a heavy barrel, and some rifles, under 400 yards that are standard button cut or good Colt hammer forged cut barrels, they'll do the same thing. So you really have to look at the rifle that you have. But if you're looking to buy, a good recce type upper is the way to go. And good ammunition. You're not going to expect precision out of Wolf. You need to look at the good Mark 262 77 grain OTM type ammo.
Just picked up the Wolf A1 upper. What weight buffer do you recommend?
H2. Yeah, H2.
Is there any reason to use a Springco orange spring over the red spring if I use the SR25 length buffer tube and an adjustable gas block?
The 308, no. If you're using a proper SR25 or AR-10 collapsible system, receiver stanchion that's longer, yes. However, if you're going to be using the standard mil spec, you would want to get a heavier spring in there.
What do you think of the Colt 601, the original?
The Colt 601 again was a new rifle. It was undeveloped when it was adopted. It was put into service prior to it being fully developed, which is why we had some of the problems that led up to the the M16A1. The problems that we had with the barrels that were getting pitted and the changing out ammunition with the higher port pressures and whatnot. As it was introduced with the proper ammunition, it was a good, reliable gun. The only real problem that it really would have had would be the corrosion, the pitting of the chambers causing failures to extract. But you wouldn't have had issues with the extraction due to the higher cyclic rate because you didn't have that. The gas ports were set up for that ammunition. It was when you put ball powder in there where you were increasing your port pressures with that too large of a gas port you're letting, that's what caused a lot of the serious failures to extract. It was an unrefined rifle that was put into service very quickly because of its need. But it's an awesome rifle. I do have a video where I talk about the Brownells BRN 601, where I talk in very great detail about it. You might want to check that out.
What is your favorite WW2 full power cartridge?
Well, full power. I mean, I guess being an American, probably the 7.62x63 or the 30-06, because it was used as a semi-automatic rifle. The 8mm Mauser was a little more powerful, but those of you who fired, the 98, the K98K, it's got a lot of whack behind it. Probably uncomfortable when firing multiple rounds. It was a little bit too powerful. Where at least with the M1 Garand with the 7.62x63 was comfortable. You'd be able to fire multiple rounds without it hurting you too much. In a bolt action, I probably would still say the 30-06 or 7.62x63. The 8mm Mauser, although more potent, it just did give you more of a whack. I mean, I think it was even more pleasant to shoot the 7.62x54R in the Soviet rifles than it was the German ones.
Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. You're being asked if you have the Mark 14 EBR M39 EMR or a standard M14.
Oh, mine's a standard. When they asked me what I wanted to try, I wanted something that would represent a standard GI M14. I didn't want any DMR. I didn't want any stainless steel match grade barrels. I wanted something that would represent a standard GI M14.
For 6.5 Creedmoor with a 20-inch barrel rather than 24 or longer, is a lighter bullet weight recommended?
No, it's not so much the lighter bullets. It's you don't get the propellant burn with the kind of propellant that's used in it. That's one of those things where that's not designed by barrel length per bullet. It's not like a 308 or 7.62 NATO. Anything that's designed for 6.5 Creedmoor will take any loading that it's got in a factory setting. So basically, have at it. See what bullet weights your rifle likes to shoot most accurately.
What benefits do you see in civilian ownership of an M203 40mm destructive device?
You know what? You can't buy the grenades, so you can't buy the flares most of the time because the flares are dangerous. They cause fires. It's one of those things that you buy just for neat. It's neat. You're so limited on what projectiles. ATF was trying to reclassify even the marking rounds, the chalk rounds, as destructive devices as well. I don't know if they were successful with that, but once you hit a certain velocity with them, there were some companies who were trying to make some lower powered ones. But the problem is all the rounds that you would have for them are illegal, so there's not a lot you can do with them. So they tend to be more of just a conversation piece than they are something that's practical to own.
Are CMMG mutants as reliable as AK-47s?
I tend to believe so. A lot of things about the AK-47s, they're not as legendarily reliable as people seem to think. Even those of you who like to watch, in-range TV there, and even McCollum there, you'll see them to do their mud test. You'll see that the AKs traditionally do pretty shitty. Once you get mud in the receivers, the bolt can't close. Where if you watch them do those with M16s, anything that has an M16 or an AR-10 type platform, they sell right through it because the dirt can't get in. So the CMMG mutant, even as unscientific as a test that Iraq veteran did, it was absolutely incredible. Um, it has all the things that you would want in a 760x39. It has a proper bolt. The bolt's not going to break. It has all the mass that's there to make it work. Um, I definitely would say so, yes. You find some good magazines for it, it probably just as reliable and probably lasts you just as long, if not longer.
Buffer weight for a Wolf A1.
That would be an H2. We already got that one.
Sorry.
No problem.
Any thoughts or experience with BM59s?
It's funny. I was just having that conversation with William Trotter or Michiko a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about because I was telling him about the M14 that I just got in, and he was saying that he had felt that the BM59 was a much better rifle than the M1 or the M14. I've never actually had my hands on one. I might talk to Michiko about that, maybe trying to get one in. But when I got someone like William telling me that the BM59 is better than the M14, I got to believe him. That guy's forgotten more than I know.
Thank you, Triumph. Somebody's asking where Mark Westrom works now.
Mark is retired. He has a hard time being retired. He has what he calls the motor pool, where he has a big dealership that he sells all military vehicles, Humvees, Deuce and a Halves, all that kind of stuff. He was working with SAC, Strategic Armament Group, who bought Armalite. He was working with them at one point, and doing marketing. He likes keeping busy. I think he's doing some work with Beulah right now, but he keeps himself busy. I mean, he doesn't leave in retirement.
Joey wants to know if you've ever been struck the first time you've met someone that works in the shooting industry.
Gene Stoner.
And
that's probably the only one. And I met guests.
What about Mikhail Kalashnikov?
I was, but not like I was with Gene Stoner. So Kalashnikov, yeah. And I met Gaston Glock when I was 21 years old at a SHOT Show. And he signed a copy of a book for me, so that was pretty much a big deal. But I'm not really one who gets too starstruck by anybody.
No, he's not at all.
I've met princes, I've met kings overseas, ambassadors. I've met designers and owners. If you were to see my phone contacts list, you would see presidents of many companies. I'm just not somebody who really gets that like that. But Stoner did.
And he's not big into sports like his father and brother.
Oh, yeah.
And he was at a SHOT Show, and Gaston Glock has these like amazing SHOT shows.
That was Dick Swan.
Dick Swan, Dick Swan has for arms. He has the most amazing SHOT Show. Well, Glock does too, but Dick Swan does like more private parties, like smaller groups of people, and they go to Cirque du Soleil and all of that, and in the penthouse. And Glock does it looks like a wedding. Yeah. His parties are like that. And apparently Chris met like a quarterback who had just won
that Brady guy.
Yeah, like Tom Brady or something. It was like he had just won like the Super Bowl.
I know what the hell he was. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" I walked away from him. I didn't know who he was.
And he mentioned something to his brother about it, and he was like, "Yeah, there was this guy. He's like a quarterback, and he just won the Super Bowl or whatever." And his brother like died.
Well, he flipped out because he's a Patriots fan.
Pissed. He was like,
"No, it was Tom." I said, "Who the fuck is Tom Brady?" That's when he told me who it was. So I've had opportunities. Again, I've met the King of Jordan. I've met King Abdullah. I've met Crown Princes. As I said, I've met a lot of high, President of Croatia twice. I just don't get starstruck. Just not me.
Ballistic deficiencies of a 10.5-inch 5.56 versus an 8-inch 300 blackout for HD SD CQB.
Well, the 10.5-inch, you are losing so much velocity from the lack of barrel and gaining so much flash from unburnt propellant that probably your performance of your 300 blackout would be better because you're throwing a larger chunk of metal and you're using a quicker burning propellant, um, I think that that's probably one place where the 300 blackout would shine. The shorter barrel you go with, I had somebody to ask me the other day who was in the industry. There was a foreign military who was asking me about 8-inch barrels for 5.56, and I told them absolutely not. If you notice, any of the major military manufacturers don't even offer it, and it's for a reason. You can't guarantee the reliability with it. It's that's it totally beats the whole purpose of having a 5.56 by going to a barrel that small. And you will be having failures very quickly because of the high pore pressures. But the 300 blackout, especially with a subsonic using the propellants that you would use, would probably be a much better option.
What are your thoughts on the SIG 716i? I just purchased one last weekend and haven't shot it yet, but I've been watching videos on it and it has good reviews. I just want to get your input on it.
Well, I have a video myself that we did not too long ago, and it's an excellent rifle. It's probably one of the nicest out of box 308s I've shot. It's not too expensive. It's not like their 716s. They're external piston ones. It's a really reasonably made. You have a lot of ability to mount your optics and do whatever you want with it. If you want to talk about reliability and durability, it was adopted by the Indian Army. So that should give you an idea on its quality and its combat abilities. So I think you should be very happy with your purchase. You'll be very happy with it. It'll serve you well.
What is a J15 cast aluminum not forged receiver, and is it pre-ban?
I don't know that one. I'm sorry, I can't answer that one.
Does the Colt TDP have any special magic that isn't already well known through reverse engineering or leaks that would make a Colt any more reliable than any other high quality manufacturer, say FN?
What the TDP is going to give you is a super secret formula that's going to make every part interchangeable. It gives you the upper and lower tolerances so that all parts, there will never be a stack of tolerance issues. It gives you the ability to say, if it's made to this spec, we can give you the exact service life of it. For instance, a mil spec barrel, I can tell you the exact rate it's going to fail with a standard M4 barrel versus an M4 profile. It gives you the super secret formula on how to test all the materials to make sure that it's going to meet all those specs. It gives you the machining, the heat treatments. It gives you all that information that gives you the ability to consistently make a rifle that will perform military spec. It gives you the ability to have the dimensions where you could take 20 rifles, dump all the parts in a bin, and build 20 rifles from all those parts, and they all would pass the 6,000 round endurance test. Where you can reverse engineer a lot of stuff, you don't reverse engineer upper and lower limits that you don't know what they are. You can take parts and you can measure and you can guess at that. The same thing with the heat treat. The same thing with machining processes, plastic processes, plastic materials. That's really what the TDP gives you.
Thank you, Daniel. Ryan wants to know, what are your thoughts on the Makarov PM? Personally, I really appreciate its simplicity and history and enjoy it.
Makarov has been around for quite some time. 9x18, not as strong as the 9x19. It's a blowback pistol. It's really a Cold War era type pistol. It's pretty much outdated now. Anything below 9mm 9x19 right now probably is pretty much unacceptable. It's still used throughout the world. A lot of ammunition's corrosive, mostly just a round ball. Fairly decent penetration, not very good knockdown power. Anytime you go lower than a 9x19 pistol, it's not really a great defense cartridge. As a personal defense, as an American citizen, not really a cartridge or a gun that I would go with. There has been some attempts to make some defense ammunition, but it really overall is not that great of a personal defense for an American. For military use, for officers who generally never had to shoot, it was fine. But they've been replaced for the most part, like in the Soviets or Russians now using 9x19.
What are your thoughts on the Valtteri A5 buffer system versus mil-spec?
The Valtteri A5 was designed specifically for the the M16A5 program, which never came to fruition. Basically, it was designed to put a buffer on a 20-inch barrel. Due to the operating dynamics of a 20-inch barrel, the gas pressure and the pore pressures and whatnot, you need basically the weight of 5 steel weights. If you look at your carbine link systems, you would have 3 steel weights. If you add tungsten, you would have up to 6. The H3 buffer tends not to work as well with a 20-inch barrel as the standard rifle length buffer. And that's really where the Valtteri A5 came in. Now, does it work well with the shorter barrels? Yes, it does. You just got to make sure you match up your weights so you don't have too much or too little weight in the buffer to make the gun operate properly.
Is a Colt Canada C7 any good new to Colt Canada products?
I would give vital parts of my anatomy to be able to own a full Colt Canada rifle. They are some of the finest rifles, probably some of the finest mil-spec rifles ever made. Many people would say that the Colt Canada rifles or the Makarov rifles were nicer made than the Colt ones that made in the United States. You guys have excellent barrels for those, the Colt Hammer Forged Cymaco barrels. Excellent barrels. They have their own proprietary methods and materials for bolts. Yeah, if I would grab one of those in a heartbeat. Unfortunately, your prime minister doesn't think you should have one.
What is the steel type on the HK USP 4140?
What's that?
What is the steel type on the HK USP 4140?
No idea. I don't know. I have some videos, a video on the history of the USP. I'm not sure if I say what kind of steel it is because they have that super secret steel that they use most of the time, and they're not very forthcoming too often with materials that they use. So I am not quite sure.
I'm sure if he has a video on it, though, he probably did list it. He does do research. Sometimes you guys see his big binder. He does sit there and write out a lot of notes, so he makes sure that he includes everything.
It's impossible to remember all these different systems, to remember all the details, and you hate to give false information, so you do keep notes.
What's your opinion on M&M Industries M10X?
It's a rifle that I'm very fond of. It had some growing pains with the barrel. Mechanically, it is an awesome rifle. Everything. The barrel has had its fair share of issues. The owner of the company, Mike Myers, is a friend of mine. I've worked with him in the past on several things. He's currently got the rifle up for some more revisions with new barrels. Just like everybody else with COVID right now, parts are hard to get a hold of right now. Importations are a problem. And that's probably a big problem that he's working at right now. He's going to be releasing a revision 2 of that rifle that's going to knock you guys' socks off. He's just waiting for the barrels right now. There's a lot of people out there who've had ones where they've had excellent luck with the accuracy. Now, when we talk about accuracy, it's still what you would call military grade. That rifle is capable of producing, well under 2-inch groups. But what would happen is you would eventually you'd have a really nice group, but you would have a flyer. And there's various reasons why that's caused, and that's what Mike's been working on.
Well, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you, and we will see you soon.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon, and thank you for making sure that she goes to. We got a question.
KAC SR15 BCG. Will this work in my AR platform?
Yeah, the bolt carrier will work. The bolt will not. The bolt that he uses is proprietary for his SR15s, but his bolt carrier, yes, you can use. Thank you all very much, and thank you for making sure that she's going to her CHL class. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Hopefully I don't embarrass him. Wish me luck.